There we go. Okay, so we're going to try that again. So my name is Jody Pushkin. I am the newspaper and education manager at the Tampa Bay Times. We are very happy to see you. I have with me the illustrious Larry Plank and Sue Bedry. And you are going to meet them in a minute. Just to clarify, we are doing a drawing at the end of this. So if you will please put your name, make sure your name is showing up. And if it's not, if you can put it in the chat, that would be great. Also, I am going to keep an eye on the chat. If you have questions, you can certainly put them in there, but we will leave some time for Q&A at the end. So I am going to, without further ado, pass things over to Sue Bedry, who is the development officer at the Tampa Bay Times newspaper and education program. I think I got that right.
Everybody, I am so glad that you joined us tonight. As Jody said, I also work with the newspaper and education program at the Times. I'm also a huge space nerd. And so I was very excited to have the opportunity to work on this project. This project was funded by a grant from NASA, and it was conceived as a way to engage Pinellas County youth in grades 5 through 8 with NASA. We were looking to enhance their scientific literacy. We were looking to encourage them to consider STEM careers. And we were looking to connect them with NASA resources because NASA has an absolute plethora of resources for teachers and students and actually learners of all ages that are free and available mostly online and just a tremendous resource. So the project included an original curriculum supplement that you will, if you haven't seen it already, you'll get introduced to a little bit later. We also did a teacher guide with considerable amount of additional activities that can be used with the curriculum supplement. In the curriculum supplement, we made a timeline of space exploration, but there was too much to fit. And so we actually created an entirely separate document with an expanded illustrated timeline that is printable and postable. That you'll see how to access all of that a little bit later. We did already one teacher training webinar, and then this is the second. And last but not least, we did a series of 9 hands-on events for students and families where the students got to partake in hands-on STEM activities and learn a little bit about airplane design and lunar lander design and rocket trajectories and all sorts of fun stuff like that. Larry is actually going to introduce you to some of the activities that we did at these events and then talk about which of them are adaptable to your classroom, either for a regular lesson or maybe for a STEM day or a field day. And so that was the project. It's been going on for a little bit over a year. The hurricanes last year did a number on our timeline, but we did get it done. So we are actually just wrapping up the project. We're at the very end. However, the resources remain available to teachers, not just in Pinellas County, but pretty much anywhere throughout the Tampa Bay area. They're also all online, so they're all downloadable. And again, you'll get to see them later if you haven't already seen them.
And I'm going to interrupt Sue just for one second. We had a few people come in after I said hello. So if you could please put your name, especially those people who are on their phones and I can't see your name. If you could put your name in the chat, we're going to be doing a drawing at the end of this. And also we want to make sure that we get the correct names for the completion certificates. Sorry, Sue.
Not at all. We'll continue to make that reminder. And so I'm going to turn it over to Larry Plank to talk about some of the fantastic space-themed activities that we worked with during the Space4All project.
All right. Hi, everybody. I am going to share my screen here. Make sure sound is on. So I hope everybody's doing well. In addition to sharing a bit of the great activities that we did in the out of school time space, I want to talk a little bit about the importance of the out of school time space, but I also want to share a bit too how to take some of these activities that we found from a variety of resources on the internet, most of which are from NASA, but also some exciting opportunities that exist through companies like Blue Origin, and turn those into learning activities for your classroom. I'm going to give you a couple of resources too, at least ideas for a couple of resources to think about these types of activities and how to turn them into structured, standards-based activities in your classroom. So I'm not sure if everybody's used to using the annotate or maybe even a sticker, but if you could click here on this screen and let me know where you're from or who you're representing, it would be great. If that's too difficult in the space that you're in, maybe you're on a phone, then that's perfectly fine as well. I don't see any annotations happening. So go ahead and just drop that in the chat then. We won't annotate the screen. But a little bit about me and where I'm from. Some of you from Hillsborough may know my name or perhaps even know me. I was the executive director for science and STEM education in Hillsborough County Public Schools. After that, I did a couple of years stints, actually 4 years if you want to count adjuncting, at the University of South Florida, where I taught courses, but also reshaped the master's degree in STEM education program for USF St. Pete. So rewrote all of those courses. It was quite the endeavor. I enjoyed my time there at USF, but it's over. The courses are all written. And now I'm over at NASA at Kennedy Space Center, working for a company called Space who does educational tools and other programming. We do field trips and all kinds of fun stuff. But all the rest of the logos here on the screen are organizations that I've worked with throughout my career. And I want to urge all of you to continue to be involved. You never know where the next opportunity is going to be. I was once a classroom teacher, and I had no idea what any of these organizations did. And 25 years later, I've served on boards of directors, been in leadership roles, and had a lot of fun along the way working with all these organizations. So dive in, participate, be a part of everything. So when we think about like the grant opportunity that we had with NASA, it was to connect library systems, really the community, with science and STEM education in a way that was engaging to families. And that's really part of our nation's kind of blueprint or game plan for STEM education today. But it hasn't always been that way, right? So I'm not old enough to remember the 1950s, but I know what happened there. And that was, the space race really began. And, Sue and Jody did an incredible job putting together the timeline of all things that were important in space. And of course, you'll see Sputnik there. What you might not see, though, is the 1980s and a nation at risk. And this is more centric to public school systems. And it was at that time that we decided that we needed to have a great focus on things that were of interest to kids, provide a lot of stuff to some really talented children, and also make sure that we were reaching all the kids with core content like literacy and mathematics. But it was in the 80s through A Nation at Risk that a lot of well, we didn't call them STEM magnet schools at that time, but STEM schools came to be, right? So I happened to have great fortune when I was in middle school back in Michigan to go to the Center for Arts and Sciences during my middle school years. And when I went to high school, I went back to just a traditional schedule because I wanted to play sports. So I didn't have that opportunity to attend a magnet school. And now most districts, especially in Florida, I'm sure all of you know about magnet schools within your district. You may even work at some of them. They're a very important part of what the school district has to offer. So today we think about all of those things we learned from the 50s when we were saying, hey, science is important. We need to start teaching it in schools because we didn't necessarily teach it in schools all the time, back then in the 50s like we do today. And then we take into consideration the specialized schools that we created in the 80s. And now today we're thinking about schools in a different way. We want to engage kids, and of course, school within brick and mortar is a place for kids to come and learn. And all of you are educators and you're there, you're the expert in the room. But we all know that kids learn outside of school. And we all know the importance of what happens outside of school. So having informal learning opportunities, such as the one that NASA has provided with the grant that we had, not only do we create these great things that teachers can utilize in classrooms, but we're engaging the community in an educationally purposed way to get kids engaged, thinking like engineers, thinking like creators, and thinking more about STEM careers. So all of those were an element of the current federal strategic plan. Of course, NASA is a federal agency, so our grant had to check almost all of these boxes that you see on the list under today. So it's teaching and learning, it's engagement, it's workforce. So we did have engineers, we had scientists, and we even had an astronaut come and visit with our kids when we did these events at the libraries. So I've presented a lot over the years. And so one thing that I always try to talk about is this STEM equation. So what is it that we need to think about as educators? And it's actually pretty simple, right? So we want kids to be successful in life, and that is to engage in these nationally meaningful, jobs that exist out there, whether they're in STEM or not. We still want them to be successful problem solvers. So what does it take? It takes great formal schooling, and it also takes these value-added, authentic, and augmentative experiences that are out of school. You'll notice that each has equal footing. A lot of people, especially in formal education, might argue that, lean the scale a bit to what happens in the public school classroom, is the most important thing. But quite honestly, we only have kids for 180 days a year. And if you're a science teacher in middle school or high school, you're only seeing your kids for an hour a day. And there's so much more that happens outside of the school day that might be STEM related. In fact, a summer STEM camp that lasts for 4 to 5 weeks actually is more immersive in terms of hours even than it is to take a course in high school 180 days of the year. That's pretty incredible when you think about it. And teachers can participate in those out of school time experiences, just as we had teachers participate with us in our grant project. So I recommend this poster. You can download it for free, just like many of our resources from the Science 101 website at the University of California, Berkeley. So they have all kinds of great free resources for teachers, great lessons that are all tagged there. Everything's peer reviewed as well. So it's kind of like CPALMs in a way, for those of you who are familiar with CPALMs and lessons that are available there. But what makes this different over at UC Berkeley is that they have a lot of downloadable resources like this poster. So when I was the executive director for Science and STEM in Hillsborough, I used to go into classrooms and I'd see the scientific method hanging on the walls and they'd be like, take that down, because that's not how science is really done, right? So we want kids to think about exploration, discovery, benefits and outcomes of science and engineering, and community analysis and feedback, which can really take place inside your classroom. And of course, all of this could be surrounded in a bigger circle that says, have fun, right? So that's what we want to do, not only in our classrooms, but also outside. So this essential elements for STEM education is something that I wrote almost 15 years ago now. It's been utilized by a lot of organizations. It's obviously much bigger than just this document, not this photograph, or this graphic. But I want to focus, on what we do. Of course, the red square. All of you are educators, and you have to think about standards-based instruction. But then in the light blue square or the teal square, it's really where we focus this particular grant. However, whenever you're working in any of these squares, you're still touching the other one in some way, right? So it's actually a great graphic, and the document that I wrote, encompasses all of that and how these things are really inseparable, but they're all very, very important features of science and STEM education. So if any of you are interested in that document that I wrote 15 years ago, I'm happy to share it with you if you drop me an email, or perhaps even just put it in the chat, and I'll try to find it before we're done today. So another pressure, of course, is what the government says is important. And so NASA, the National Science Foundation, NOAA, all of our government agencies have to listen basically to what the military is saying. And when the military says something is important, then Congress decides, of course, that all the organizations, all these national assets that we have in science and STEM must do their part to ensure that we're fulfilling our national obligation in education. And so NASA, of course, is this amazing organization. They don't do education that, it's just a tiny piece of what they do, but they still have a responsibility to ensure that the community is educated not only about what NASA does, which of course is important for a voting public, but also to educate people about science and about STEM and to get people excited about exploration. So this was a very important, this Pentagon article that came out. And it was 2021, but it's also served as a platform. You'll see it referenced actually in much about this time when they were doing the study in our federal STEM plan that I had on a previous slide. So I had the great opportunity to do quite a bit of things with a Department of Defense STEM grant when I was in Hillsborough. It was $3 million. And we were the only school district at the time that had this opportunity to, think outside of the classroom and create all kinds of really cool learning experiences for kids, but also write some lessons and some things that were connected to all the fun stuff we were doing in the camps and outside the classroom for classroom teachers. So it's very similar to the work that we were doing in this particular NASA project. So I'm very happy that Sue and Jody called me up and said, hey, we heard you know a little bit about space and maybe even know a little bit about STEM. We have this grant that we'd like to apply for. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is just a smaller version of what we've already accomplished, with the Tampa Bay STEM Network, Hillsborough County Public Schools, our partners at Space Trek, which, that's when I began working with them. Now I work for them. And we really had all these wonderful opportunities for kids to do space work. So I think I've summarized this, and of course, this slide deck will also be available to all of you too. So I won't get into the details there. We've talked about this. So what I'd like you to do is just take a moment, close your eyes, and think about your own recollections of out of school time that were meaningful when you were a K-12 student. It might be an elementary field trip you took someplace. Maybe it was an after school program in middle school and it really resonated with you. Maybe it changed the course of who you are, perhaps as an educator or who you think you are, as a scientist. And think about those things. And then also secondary to that, think about what experiences you are providing to your students in your current classroom. So I'm going to give everybody 60 seconds to think about those two things. If you could drop your thoughts, your comments, your notes into the chat, it would be wonderful.
Hey, Larry, while we're brainstorming, um, it looks like you have a dialog box that's kind of covering your slide. There we go.
Yeah, I was trying to look at the chat.
Don't be shy. Put your answers in the chat, folks. And for those people who came in a few minutes late, please make sure you put your name in there. We are going to have a little drawing at the end of the presentation, and we need to know who's here. Larry, you've got that box up again.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat. Sorry, I have a full screen
That's okay.
screen share. Yeah.
I can
So
read
I
it
see
to you if
field
you
trips
want.
there, and I think we're just about out of our minute time anyway. So people might be driving, or perhaps they're cooking dinner, which is always great, and listening to what I have to say. So we'll just go ahead and move forward. I'm going to now share a video from the DoD grant that we had. So this was working with Space Trek. This is also important because we had these rockets actually at one of our library experiences that we created in the grant.
New for you this morning, there are a ton of fun summer camps in the Bay Area this year, but this one is literally a blast. ABC Action News reporter Sean Daly visits future NASA scientists at Hillsborough County's Rocket Camp.
It's fun and the people here are great. It's really hands-on.
Meet NASA's future rocket scientists. Thanks to a $3 million grant from the Department of Defense, these Hillsborough County middle schoolers are at a free and awesome rocket camp. Look out, my camera! Oh, man, they almost hit my camera.
This is our rocket, the Castaway.
The Castaway. Look at that. It's a beauty. Hillsborough is the only school district in the nation to get this Defense Department STEM grant, which will help pay for rocket and robotics programs for years to come. And that will allow Sydney, Veronica, and Coral here at Tampa's Memorial Middle School to discover a new passion and maybe even set them on a career path. STEM teachers Kelly Ramirez and Amanda Valiente say inspiring kids at this age can be tough, but rockets, they do the trick.
Some of these kids, they're picking it up so quickly.
Oh!
One of the wonderful things about, again, being an educator and being able to witness this and be a part of this is seeing young girls interested in coming to STEM camp and just rocking it.
In Tampa, I'm Sean Daly, ABC Action News.
Taking their
So if you are a Hillsborough County teacher, there are several of those rocketry sets in the district. In fact, around 100. And you could borrow one from the school next door, perhaps, learn how to use it. They're pretty easy. But when we're thinking about World Space Week and out of school time opportunities, those rockets are great not only for in-class learning, but also out of school time camps and opportunities that you provide. So we're talking about out of school time learning, and this slide probably should have been a little bit earlier in my presentation, but the orange part of the graph shows all of our opportunities within our lives for formal education, right? And the blue spaces are the informal learning environments. So NASA has made quite an effort to ensure that there are opportunities in museums, aquariums, other types of science centers and places around the nation, and especially in libraries. In addition to the project that we had, and I always kind of laugh, NASA has a brand new library initiative. And those libraries can be freestanding libraries within the public, for instance, like the Pinellas libraries that we worked with, but also media centers within schools. So if you're a media specialist or perhaps a teacher that's interested in working with your media specialist at your school, Google NASA Library Education, and there are all kinds of brand new resources that are a part of their brand new library initiative. In fact, they've also had quite a few webinars lately for media specialists and librarians to learn about NASA tools and how to incorporate them into the library of media center setting. So I do want to talk about STEM ecosystems too, because they're also very important, and NASA plays a role in STEM learning ecosystems. In fact, NASA shows up at every STEM learning ecosystem meeting. So STEM learning ecosystems started about 10 years ago. In fact, they're celebrating their 10th anniversary later this month in Washington, D.C. I'm going to show up for that. The Tampa Bay STEM Network, who serves 9 different districts within the Southwest Florida region, from Hernando County all the way down to Collier County, and then east over to Polk County. So all of the districts in between, Manatee, Pinellas, Hillsborough, et cetera, are all served by the Tampa Bay STEM Network in one way or another. So the big way is that the Tampa Bay STEM Network is a Code.org regional partner and provides Code.org and computer science training to teachers. It also helps sponsor Computer Science Education Week and, of course, Hour of Code in our schools. So the STEM ecosystems, the Tampa Bay STEM Network being one of them, are all based in these 4 strategies. So thinking about partnerships that make sense, equipping educators with what they need, creating these rich STEM environments, and then supporting pathways for success. And you'll notice that that probably looks a lot like the federal education plan, which came out, by the way, 8 years after STEM ecosystems wrote this plan. So there's a lot that we're doing federally, a lot that the agencies are doing, like NASA, that are connected to the original work of STEM learning ecosystems. So here are the original cohort back in 2016. Again, like I said, we're celebrating our 10th year this year with a big celebration celebration in Washington, D.C., and the Tampa Bay STEM Network was the very first STEM ecosystem in the state of Florida. There are now 4 that are recognized nationally. So our grant, so getting to the why we're probably all here. And the Space4All grant was a wonderful opportunity for us to bring all of our expertise together. You know, Jody and Sue, like I said, were wonderful to work with, and I learned a lot along the way. And I had a lot of opportunities to work with folks that I would have thought that I had the opportunity to work with. So I just want to thank them publicly now again for this, great year-long journey that we've been on. And I just appreciate not only the friendship, but of course, all the wonderful things that we can look back on that we've done together. So thank you for that. So as Sue mentioned in the opening comments, we, kind of put a broad net out. I had the opportunity to look at, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 different activities, many of which, like I said, were produced by NASA. And we will share with you a PDF of our activities and the links that are live for all of those activities so that you can go take a look at any of those activities and see if they make sense for your particular classroom. And Sue and Jody, if you don't have that PDF, I do have it, and I'll share it later in the chat window. So no need to create one or go try to find it, but it does exist, and I'll go ahead and share that in the chat box. But first of all, I want to talk about the ones that work best for us. So this is the lunar lander activity, which was done, I think, at all of our 9 visits or our 9 opportunities to engage with kids and families. And many of you have probably done something similar to this in your classroom. Perhaps you remember it when you were a public education student. And it's very similar to like the egg drop that we may have done, right? So can you drop something from a distance that saves the egg? Well, none of you probably want eggs in your classroom breaking all over the place. So what we utilized is ping pongs. And of course, the context that we created in our narrative was we're dropping seeds, not necessarily astronauts bouncing all over the ground, but we wanted these lunar landers, call them lunar landers, but really they could be planetary landers, in different places where the ping pong balls would stay inside the lander device that students created, but also be exposed to light. So they couldn't just tape over or create a cover for the top of the container. And again, that activity is going to be shared in the document. And I'll talk to you about how this is engaging and how to make it a standards-based activity too, if you're interested in doing that for Space Week. The next is, you'll see the students here working on a code.org opportunity. I do want to emphasize that code.org has many, many more learning opportunities for kids than probably the last time you checked the code.org website. In fact, they're doing quite a bit with AI this year. And the Hour of Code this December is now going to be the Hour of AI. So code.org has picked up a lot of AI resources, and NASA has helped create some of the code.org learning opportunities that exist for free on the code.org website. So if you're thinking about doing something for Space Week, or maybe you're thinking about participating in Computer Science Education Week in December, or perhaps just looking for something to do for Hour of Code or Hour of AI, please check out code.org. Here we're also doing some coding, and these are binary bracelets where the students learn about binary coding, understanding in the context of the lesson. We didn't necessarily teach this as a lesson at our events, but the NASA lesson itself has a lot of background information about binary code, why it was developed, how it's still utilized, etc. But in our activities, students learned how to print their name in binary code and then make a bracelet that corresponded with their name in binary code. So that's a very fun activity, particularly for elementary school students and middle school students that they love to do. And, it takes probably about 30 to 45 minutes for students to learn a bit about coding and then code their name and create their bracelet. So it's another fun activity that you can do with students for Space Education Week. So these photographs are from our aerodynamics activity, which is really just making a paper airplane. Again, this is a NASA activity that has a lot of background information for educators if you click on the NASA activity. But in short, this is a really fun thing to do with students. It's not just making paper airplanes. You'll notice that the students are behind tables. And what we ask students to do is think a little bit, robustly about the designs that they're making. And they didn't get the opportunity to run off, grab their airplane, and throw it again to try to hit a particular target that we had set up wherever we were. They had to think about their design and do multiple trials, perhaps, of the same design, thinking about how they were throwing it, maybe manipulating the design a bit. Of course, many students made 30 different airplanes that they wanted to try and toss. So you see a lot of them there on the tables for the students who are participating. This can easily then be turned into a 5E instructional model activity where you're talking about aerodynamics, or maybe even just talking about the nature of science and the importance of multiple trials within experimentation. Here are the rocketry sets that you saw in the previous video, so I won't share any more about that other than these are available for purchase, but in Hillsborough, you should have plenty of them that you can call upon schools to utilize if you don't have them at your school sites. So here will be the document that we share. So you'll see the activity there. I wanted to mention the first one, and these are Blue Origin postcards to space. This is something that any school can do as well. So the postcards are available for download. In fact, the way that you need to fold or cut paper. Obviously, it'd be great if you had these cut out or foldable onto cardstock so that they're easily transportable. We can send you, I guess, how we created our postcards, but pretty simple. When I had a laser printer in the office, and in fact, many of our schools, I actually had the capacity to print postcard size paper, so like on index cards. So that's something to check out. You can create these postcards. The kids draw a picture on one side, report their information on the back for it to be sent back. And Blue Origin actually does fly these up to near space and back. So the Katy Perry trips, that you may have seen, where folks go up and they come back from near space, those are generally the rockets that these are sent on. But it's still pretty cool for the kids to get, or your classroom, to get your postcards back with the stamp that says that they made that trip. So that's pretty cool. And that's something that you can easily do. So Sue, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to jump in and say I actually have blank postcards left over from our activities. So if any of you would like to do postcards with your class, you can get in touch with me and I will send you a class set so that you have them. They're already postcard size. They're ready to go.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Sue. I was hoping that we had some left over. So this document, once you take a look at it after I send it, is going to have about 30 activities. I'm not going to go through, obviously, every one. I've touched on photographs, the ones that I really like that the kids seem to engage most in, but there'll be resources for each of the activities. But I also want to share with you great places to think about making these activities into formal standards-based activities as educators. Now, some of them with NASA may already have NGSS standards alignment, and the teacher document that was created as a part of this grant. Of course, all the activities that are included in that document are standards-based as well. But you may find some resources, not only in our document that we created for activities in the libraries, but perhaps anywhere else. NASA has a plethora of activities. If you dig around their website, it's not easily navigable for K-12, but you'll find pockets of stuff here and there. And not all of them are standards aligned. So how do I take something that isn't standards aligned, utilize it in my classroom, not just as a fun activity or for tinkering, and actually turn it into a standards-based activity? So what I have up here, not only the NASA resource, so the NASA Engage, the STEM resources that they've recently created, but these other three public resources. So Teach Engineering, Engineering is Elementary, and the Inspire website, which is from the University of Purdue or Purdue University, all have steps and information for educators to turn, any type of tinkering or creation or engineering opportunity that you might do with kids. For us, when I was a kid, maybe it was the egg drop competition. So take these competitions and turn them into standards-based activities. So seek those opportunities out. Take a look at something. If your principals walking in and they're like, well, we're doing Space Week stuff, but it still needs to be standards-based, be age appropriate, connected to what we're supposed to be teaching in our classrooms. these websites will help educators get to that place of turning these tinkering opportunities into standards-based learning opportunities for kids. So I'll go ahead and skip over that. In fact, that's pulled off of the uh, NASA website about engineering versus the scientific method. And this is my last slide, and it's about SSEP. This is a picture of Hillsborough students that have participated in sending their projects up on a SpaceX rocket, where it's done at the International Space Station by astronauts and sent back down. Okay. Hillsborough has traditionally provided this opportunity, but USF has a call out currently for projects. I'm not sure if they're including high school. I think they are. They've asked me to serve on their review committee for all the projects that they get sent. And University of South Florida is funding the $25,000 to send a project up to the International Space Station. So if you're interested in participating in that, again, and don't quote me on, it's available to K through 12 entirely, but check out USF Innovations website, and they do have information about the Student Spaceflight Experiments program that they're sponsoring for this year. And that's all I have. So Jody or
I'm going to
Sue?
actually, I'm going to add something to what you just said. A couple of the things that Larry mentioned do take funding. And of course, we know that teachers are strapped for funding, but you really can look to your education foundations for mini grants. I know that Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, I'm not as familiar with the one in Hulk, but I do know that most of the education foundations do have mini grant programs, and they're always chomping at the bit to find teachers who want their money. So make sure that you check those out as well to see if you can get extra help. Does anybody have any questions for Larry before I?
Well, I'm looking through the chat here. I see, Tamika, you said you have code Honor Clever, but you never had any training in Pinellas. Can you drop your email address in, or perhaps I can get it from Jody or Sue, and I'll provide information about code.org trainings that happen in our state, like ones that are coming up. Okay. I'll drop my email address in here too. It's still going to be a USF email address.
I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with the comments people put in the chat about what they're doing with their students, as field trips and a lot of hands-on activities. And I am a little embarrassed to say I didn't know that Pasco County also had nature's classroom. I was unaware of that. I thought it was a Hillsborough only thing.
Yeah, there are a lot of great things here.
So I did drop both my email address and Sue's in the chat for you. You can email either of us and we will respond to you. Not only do we have postcards, but we also have print publications of the Space4All curriculum supplement available. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that supplement, but I believe, and Sue, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe those just went out to Pinellas County schools, and you can order them from other counties by emailing us. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. The initial project, these were only delivered to Pinellas County elementary and middle schools, but any teacher of any grade from any county, you can request a class set and we will send that out to you for free. You just have to let us know how many you need and where to send them.
Yes, please don't forget to tell us when you email, especially if you email me, what your name is, what the name of the school is, and how many copies you want. Sue and I both would love to give out as many as we can. We are both inundated in our houses with storage. I'm sure that most of you know that we do not have a downtown. We do not have a place to store things anymore. We do not have our downtown St. Petersburg office, and our other office is very strapped for space. So please feel free to email us and let us know what you need. So I am going to do things backwards for a minute, and I am going to actually jump in and talk about our website and our publication and the teacher guide first before I talk about NIE. I'm guessing that most of you are newspaper and education teachers, but if you're not, I'm going to give you some information that you can join our NIE program. If you heard about this webinar through just through another teacher, there's still plenty of time to join us in our little world. So let's see if I remember how to share my screen. There we go. Okay, excellent. So this is our website. It is tampabay.com/NIE. And I know it doesn't say that on the URL address bar. We have a wonderful, what's the word I'm looking for? Webmaster, who it's external from the Times. So they do a great job on our website. So it will take you to this NIE online /TB Times. So I am going to all of our curriculum supplements are under this little tab that says curriculum supplements. And I'm going to jump to the science page. And I'm going to scroll down because I can't see my URL to switch it, and show you where our Space4All materials are. So there's actually a direct link that I will send you after this webinar that takes you right to this space that shows you where the publication is, where the teacher guide is, and where the expanded timeline is. So I'm going to click on this. Let me know if I lose. Did that work? Can you still see can you see the publication now? Okay, excellent. So this is our Space4All publication. It was originally designed for upper elementary and middle school students, but a lot of the activities in here can be applied to any age grade. There's various components to this. Sue did a great job of organizing this by decade. So all of the information goes in order by decade. There is a really cool timeline that runs along the side of the publication. And I'm going to show you the other timeline in a minute. So our activities within the publication are called Going Beyond the Text activities. And the purpose of these activities is so that you can use the information in here along with using the newspaper to kind of show your students that current events and history are not necessarily two separate things, especially when we're talking about science. Science is in the news every single day, and we are happy to provide these activities for you to make that connection. So I'm going to point out at the bottom, we have listed the standards, and they are the standards for upper elementary and middle. But as most of you know, the language arts standards are pretty consistent across all grade levels. And the science standards were specific, but we can also, if you're looking for different grade levels, and I'm not sure, I saw that some people put in their schools in the chat, but I'm not sure where everybody's from, but these can be used for all different grade levels. So the first decade, let me go backwards here, is the 1950s, of course. And then as we go along to the 60s, you can see that we also have photos, and we also have, I put them on mute. Thank you, Sue. And we also have some really great graphics here. There's some graphic organizers in here. All of the standards are listed under each activity for you, and they're also listed on the back, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute too. Obviously talking about the difference between astronauts and cosmonauts, talking about the first man in the moon, on the moon. We move into the 1970s, where we're talking about different types of technology that is being used. We're talking about the rover. There's some a little bit of math in our activities as well. So we try to incorporate, I believe we have throughout the whole publication, there is science, math, social studies, and language arts. This publication, it is focused on science, but when you're talking about space and you're talking about Florida, of course, we're also talking about history. A little background information. I did things backwards. So I'm a language arts teacher by, I was going to say by birth, by trade. So most of our activities do include language arts activities. Being able to read and evaluate and analyze informational text, of course, is very important in the Florida Best Standards. So most of the activities include, sorry, I seem to have something on my camera. Will include language arts activities as well. All of these photos are either, I believe most of them are NASA generated, aren't they, Sue? I noticed that one of the people in the chat mentioned that you take video of the launches and share them with your class. That is a wonderful thing to do. NASA has some great visuals on their website. They have videos, they have images that you can use, that you can post. Because NASA is a government agency, those are all, should be all in the public domain. After we move, one of the other things I was going to point out before I move to the next decade is that there are some points in here to explain why the information is important for students. A lot of times when you're teaching them, they don't see the importance in their lives. And we know that this particular topic is very important for students to not only to understand, but as far as future employment goes. We move on to I forgot what decade I was in. We move on from the 80s and 90s. And then we move into the 2000s. Again, we have this, why is this important? We have an experiment here, designing an experiment here with the standards listed underneath it. We have some website links for your students to go to. If you're looking at, obviously, if you're looking at the print publication, they're not going to be live, but on the PDF of the publication, the links should be live for you. Talking about landers and rovers, which is the new world. Sue has this great making a cardboard rover activity that I actually have not tried. I do want to say that I had a great time doing the activities that Larry had pulled together in our libraries. I am not very proficient at paper airplanes, though. The students absolutely loved those activities. They loved going back to the drawing board and making new ones. They were trying to hit a target with the paper airplanes. We were trying to explain to them the difference about momentum and thrust, but they were just having a great time making the paper airplanes. That is not my forte. I think Sue did a good job. And we actually had an intern over the summer that did a great job of making paper airplanes. So I haven't tried this yet. So have you tried the make a cardboard rover? You haven't yet either. Okay. But that's a great activity for you to do with your students. Of course, talking about the 2020s, talking about what's going on now. Here we have an activity talking about space-related careers as well. And then the standards on the back are for the entire publication. So reading about and learning about the science apply to all of these standards that are from CPOMs. So you can put those into your lesson plans when you're using the publication. We also, and I'm going to see if I can do this. Are we still looking at my screen? Are we back to the website? Yes. Okay. I never know when I click back and forward if that happens. We also have this wonderful teacher guide that I believe is a gazillion pages, isn't it? No, it's almost 200 pages. And Sue has, again, I'm going to give her credit for this because I am so bad at this. She has done this wonderful job of having a table of contents for you so that you can click on something and it will take you to the activity. The activities range, let me go back to the beginning. There we go. So the activities are all different focuses. They are all dealing with using informational text in your classroom. They are all focused on being able to connect the newspaper to science. I'm going to skip down here a little bit from the basics to analyzing a newspaper article to being able to question the information in the newspaper article. Again, all of the standards are listed under each activity. That was not a non-labor intensive thing to do, as you all know. There's plenty of links in here as well. And I was going to jump down. There we go. We also have, let's see. I lost where I was going to, there we go. Okay. So we also have some graphic organizers and charts in here for you as well. Again, talking about either the articles that you find or the information that's in the publication. And then we also have some articles in the back that are linked to that table of contents at the beginning. So you can click on the appendix and see what articles we've pulled for you. We're trying to I'm trying to post information for you on our Facebook page that will be helpful for you also to use. I think I have the right date. October 4th is the big anniversary of what, Sue? Remind me.
Sputnik.
Of what? Sputnik, yes. And we're posting the original article that ran in the newspaper. We are posting that on our Facebook page. I don't think we posted any historical, we do have some historical things. But most of these articles are, I think most of these articles are more modern.
So most of the articles that we included, the activities don't have to use these articles, but we pulled these articles so that you would have some to start with, and then you can always supplement with new articles that you find. There are also some older resources, and particularly when we get to the editorial cartoons, we have editorial cartoons all the way from the 50s up to the present day. And those make really fun reading. So.
Yeah. And the historical newspapers are great reading on their own. Not only is it talking about, obviously, U.S. takes giant step into space, but it also gives you an idea of what's going on in society at that time, which is another great thing. I believe these are just the front pages. If you are interested in using newspapers in your classroom, though, the Library of Congress has a wonderful resource that has been reorganized. Sue, remind me of the name of it.
I actually don't recall off the top of my head, but
I will check and stick it in the chat for you. I just used it in a different workshop and now I can't remember it. But it's a great way to look at advertising and look at other things that are going on besides just the news article. And I'm trying to scroll to the cartoon just for you to see them.
it's Chronicling America is the
Chronicling
website.
America, thank you. .gov, right?
I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
We also have some maps that I completely forgot that Sue included in here. And let's see, where are the editorial? Here we go. So we also have a series of editorial cartoons. If you are by any chance teaching any kind of high school programs, I do know that analyzing editorial cartoons has become kind of a thing. We have some really great, aside from the cartoons themselves, we have some really great resources for you to use with your students on how to analyze editorial cartoons. Am I missing anything on the teacher guide you wanted me to talk about, Sue?
If you want to scroll to the very last page, there is a list of some of the resources that we use to put this together. So there's a list of space-themed NIE resources and then other resources, as you saw. So it's not comprehensive, and some of Larry's great links are not in there, but it is some places to start to gather other activities and information.
And I'm sure this will be okay with Larry because he mentioned something about it, but we will go ahead and if he's okay, that post his PowerPoint that has some of the other links and stuff in that.
Yeah, Jody, I actually dropped the PowerPoint in the chat. So are
okay, great.
the links to all of our library activities. That document is there too.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And these are the space standards that I pulled off, CPOMs. Like I said, a lot of the this stuff that we came up with was more targeted towards elementary and middle, but a lot of the things can be geared down a little bit if you have fourth grade students or third grade students, and they can definitely be used by high school students. One of the activities that I never had time to participate in was the coding of the bracelets. And I know that high school kids as well as middle school kids would love to do those activities. So I am going to show you this.
Hey, Jody.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to mention real quick too that there's also an accessible PDF on the website.
And I will go back to that in 1 minute. This is the timeline that I believe Sue and our designers spent hours putting together. There are some really, really great photos here. Remember, when you're teaching informational text, photos and graphics are just as good in some cases, having students interpret what they're seeing in the photo. So it's not just the words. As you can see, there are lots of captions here. Some of the photos are in black and white. Some of this particular photo, I don't know if you can see my little arrow pointing to it with our little 3-year-old chimpanzee. Those are things that students probably don't really have a concept of, because when you're talking about space, you're probably talking about more recent things. So they probably are not familiar with this kind of information. We also have, well, I already mentioned that. Never mind. But there's some more pictures of newspaper clippings. There's some more captions here talking, obviously, the space race itself was a big deal. I'm just going to scroll through this for you real quickly. As Sue said, this is available for you as a PDF. We do not have any print copies of this. You would need to print this out yourself, but you could also put this up on your smartboard. You could take a photo and put it up on your smartboard and ask the students to analyze it, kind of thing. And I'm going to go back again to show you the accessible PDF. And Sue, what makes this different? You're on mute.
Sorry, this is the accessible one.
Yes.
This one is optimized.
Make sure. Yes. Okay.
I don't think that's displaying quite correctly.
No, it's not. I think it's displaying the other one.
I think so too. I think our link is broken. Oops.
Uh-oh.
We will fix that.
We will fix that. We will get that fixed.
I do.
But go ahead and explain the accessible.
So the accessible PDF is optimized for screen readers so that blind and low vision students will, for instance, when they hover over a photo, the photo description will is all coded in there, so it'll describe the photo to the student instead of if a PDF is not optimized to be accessible, when you hover over an image, it will probably just say image, right? Which is not super helpful if you're trying to understand the full context of the document. It might be the right one, Jody. I would have to pull up, I would actually have to pull up my screen reader and then check it, but I'll check it. And I did also want to mention that the very last page of the timeline, we have left that blank so that students can fill in what is going on now. So if you go to the very last page, we don't know what's going to happen in 2025 and beyond. So there's room for growth.
Thank you very much, Sue. Okay, so I am going to, you know what? I'm just going to stay on the website. I'm going to go up to the, let's see if this lets me do this. I'm going to go back to the homepage. For those of you who are already NIE teachers, you can ignore me. For those of you who are not NIE teachers, I'm just going to show you where this is, and then I will go backwards to what I was the rest of the information I was going to talk to you about. All of our information is on our website. All of our curriculum, all of our lesson plans, all of our information about workshops and webinars, all of that is available under these little tabs. If you are not getting the newspaper and you're interested in getting the newspaper, you would click on this sign up here button, and it will take you to a form that you will fill out. If you happen to be in a private school that is not listed, or a brand new school that I did not list yet in one of our counties, please email me and we will get that corrected. But basically, when you go to the county, it should pull up all of the schools and you can just select your school. And then you need to let us know if you want print copies and or access to the digital edition. The digital edition, you would just tell us how many licenses you want, and the number of licenses equates to the number of people who are using the digital access at the same time. So if you have a class of 30 and you're going to do some sort of lesson where you want them all on it at the same time, you can get 30 licenses. If you think that you'd like to use the newspaper for homework, which is an awesome tool, and you need more licenses because you know that 120 students are going to log on at the same time, you can ask for 120 licenses. The print newspaper, the Tampa Bay Times, produces a newspaper 7 days a week. We produce a print newspaper Wednesdays and Sundays, and you can get Wednesday and Sunday newspaper by just telling us the number of newspapers you want, and we will send them to you on Wednesdays. So that can be adjusted if you signed up for newspapers last school year, which a lot of teachers did, and you need to change the number. You just need to email me and we will adjust that for you. The newspapers are the actual Tampa Bay Times. The curriculum supplements, the example that we just showed you, are special things that come out probably a couple of times a month. Once you fill out this form, if you sign up for the digital edition, I will be in touch to let you know what your username and password is. The print editions, it usually takes about 10 days for our system to get that all sorted out. So if you signed up today, you would probably see print newspapers in about 2 weeks. So the other thing I wanted to I'll show you the digital edition in a minute. If you're looking for curriculum supplements, and I know you're not all science teachers, but I'm going to click on science because we have 3 brand new science curriculum supplements that are available. The first one is Be a Pinellas County Water Protector, and I believe that was sent out to schools about 2 weeks ago. If you are teaching elementary school in Pinellas County, you are about to see a bunch of emails from me encouraging you to participate in this contest that is going on right now. There's a contest on the back page of that. If you are in Pasco County, you are going to be seeing copies of Mission Possible Water for Tomorrow, which are being distributed to the school warehouse, I believe, early next week. If you would like any copies of these, I'm going to tell you how to do that, but you can get copies directly from your school warehouse for those. And the third one that we put out is called Safeguarding Wildlife. And that went to Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas counties. If you are in any other county, and I know we have some Polk people and I saw some private school people, we are happy to send you copies of those. Basically, all you have to do when you go to the top of this page is it tells you to email order nie@tampabay.com and then tell us all this information. You will be surprised how many teachers email me and say, oh my gosh, I want the supplement you talked about wildlife. And then they won't tell me what school, who they are, and how many copies. We need to know all that information to send it to you. You can look at all of these are available as PDFs. Some of them say, like this one, this publication is not available in print. And if that is the case, then we only have the PDF. But for some of the newer publications, we do have print copies that we can send. For example, this Be a Pinellas County Water Protector, although the information is focused on Pinellas County, you can, the grant we received for this program came from Tampa Bay Water. So a lot of the information is going to be the same for Hillsborough and Pasco counties as well. So all you have to do is click on this. You'll be able to see it. It will pop up just like the Space4All, and you will be able to, oh, I picked the wrong one to pick up. I picked the highest low resolution PDF I could find. So it'll take a few minutes for this one to load, but it is the same idea. We have the activities and the standards listed in them. If we go back to our curriculum tab, you will see that we also have them broken up by subject level. We have English language arts, we have health and physical education, science, social studies, visual and performing arts. All of those are available. You don't have to be teaching that particular subject. We are working right now, diligently working right now on a publication that is focused on Florida during the Revolutionary War. It will be out in time for the big I'm not going to say it. The big the big anniversary that's coming up in 2026. If you are looking for materials that are not necessarily, if you're teaching a whole bunch of subjects, we have lots of things available. I'm also going to mention a couple of other things on our website to be on your radar. Our weekly lessons are posted here. If you are currently on our list, you are getting emails from me on a weekly basis, letting you know what is new. These sites are updated every week, except for the special report. All of the others are updated on a weekly basis. We have some Pulse of the Planet podcasts. We have our front page talking points, which is usually about various subjects. There is always, it's something to do with current events. There is always something to read, action points for discussion, and there's always a video. The other last week in the news, this one, news videos also deals with current events. Some you may not be interested in talking to your students, like this particular one that is just pulled up. But again, there's information to read, there's information about class discussions, and there's a video. We also have a geography quiz, which is very difficult for me. And we also have a vocabulary quiz that it can be broken down. And then the last thing I want to mention is the Use the News lesson plans. This is by grade level. We have elementary, middle, and secondary. Every week, there are 5 different prompts, and you can use these for bell work. You can use these for class discussions. You can copy and paste these and put them on your smartboard or you can project them. We also have a lot of archives. Unfortunately, the archives are not separated by subject. They're just by grade level. But as you can see, we have, there's an article this week talking about new satellites to watch in the sun. We're talking about New Zealand. We're talking about ancient spear throwing, talking about dairy. They're all different subjects. I'll have to look at that one on Amelia Earhart. I didn't notice that one before. So again, that was under weekly lessons. Curriculum is where the supplements are. And then we also have our monthly topics page. I know that September is over, so I'm just going to click on October, and that will take you to different subjects that we have focused in the month of October. We have different web sources as well as curriculum sources for you to use as well. I'm going to go up a little bit here to National Hispanic Heritage Month, since that runs from September to October. We have, I've updated the links based on the most current websites that are out there. So if you happen to run across one that the government website has changed, or one of the websites have changed, please let me know. I was trying to be as diligent as I could. There's been a lot of changes, especially with government websites. There's been a lot of changes on the actual pages. PBS as well. There have been quite a few changes. So that is our website, and there we go. I'm going to scroll back to the top. Our information is listed under Contact Us, but I'm going to give you that in addition to it. It's on the chat. We also have, under our additional resources, we have information about our fabulous Educator of the Year contest, which we are not quite ready to launch yet. It will be launching in January. There are some great prizes. We have some just fabulous creative teachers out there, and I know that you are part of that. I believe that our first place grand prize winner, in addition to a lovely plaque and a gift from the Tampa Bay Rays, they also get $1,500, which is nothing to sneeze at. Our honorable mentions. Also, there's a cash prize associated with them as well. And then before I leave our website, I am just going to mention the important links right here. We have a student writing contest that is for high school students. If you happen to be teaching high school students, we will be sending that information out probably in December. I believe the contest opens in January. We don't know what the topic is yet. It's going to be a surprise. Our event to honor the 2004 winners is in a couple of weeks. So we will be starting to plan for the next one as well. So before I talk about, I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to switch to my PowerPoint. Then I'm going to just mention a couple of things on here, and then I will talk a little bit more about the digital edition. So let's see. So this is the information I should have told you at the beginning. This is the background information about me. This is Samantha, who normally joins my webinars, but I believe she is mad at me and she is sitting on the window ledge right now. I am Sue and I both write curriculum for the newspaper and education program. I've been the primary writer. Sue has some specific subjects that she likes to take ownership over, especially space and chocolate. We are getting ready to do a publication on the science of chocolate that will be probably coming out the beginning to middle of the spring semester. As I mentioned, I am a language arts teacher, so therefore all of our activities have language arts standards. I'm also an adjunct professor at St. Leo University in Hillsborough Community College. I use our digital edition all the time with our students. When I ask them on the first day of school where they get their news, they tell me, what do you think? Who wants to tell me in the chat where the kids get their news from?
Tampa Bay Times.
That would be great, but that is not where they get their news. Social media is the correct answer, and primarily they get it from TikTok.
Wow.
Which is a little scary. So our goal is to teach them what a newspaper is, and that is the job of NIE. So basically our job is, we are a cooperative effort between schools and the newspaper to promote the use of newspapers as educational sources. So we are trying to get your students to think critically. We are trying to get them to analyze the world around them. We are trying to get them to be good citizens, and we do that through giving you access to the newspaper. I am just going to skip a lot of this because most of you are familiar with our newspaper and education program. But I am going to stop and talk a little bit about why newspapers are a good tool for exploring science. Again, we're back to critical thinking. So the newspaper itself is like a living textbook. It updates and extends information every day. It's also one of those things that students aren't embarrassed to be walking around carrying, which is very cool. Depending on their reading level, the newspaper is often perfect for reaching out to students who are struggling a little bit with reading. It makes science, social studies, psychology, visual arts, all of that stuff, it makes it more pertinent to the lives around them, to their lives and what's happening around them. We already talked about this. We already talked about this. This is our Space4All. I already told you about this. Basically, there is some research that shows that students who read the newspaper on a regular basis do better on standardized tests. The answer to that is simply because they are actually reading something that is of interest to them. As we know on the standardized tests, a lot of the informational text they're reading, it loses their attention. So it's good practice to get them in the habit of looking at newspaper articles that will grab their attention. It's also a good way to get them in the habit of just reading something beyond text messages. And I'm not sure what other reading that they're doing, actually. Now that I think about it, since most of their news is coming from TikTok and Snap and Instagram, they are basically just looking at other people's comments. My adult students tell me that when they look at a picture on Instagram, they immediately look at the comments to see what's going on. A good way to stop them from doing that is for you to use photos and images and ask them to analyze them on their own. They don't necessarily, they're not necessarily aware that the photo is just kind of a snapshot of one little point in time.
And there's a couple of great simple activities that you can do. For instance, you can cut out the photo and separate it from the caption and give students a bunch of photos and captions and see if they can match the correct caption to the photo, or have them write their own captions, and then see how close their version is to the actual caption that was in the newspaper. So
Yes.
simple, but so fun.
And not only can you do that with the print edition, but you can do that with the digital as well. You can take a snapshot of the photo. You can take an image of the PDF and post it on your Canvas page or post it on your smartboard, and have students do the assignment that way as well. Thank you, Sue. You all know what primary sources are. The newspaper is both a primary and a secondary source. Photos, again, great primary source for being able to analyze things. I'm going to skip some of this. I'm going to move to our contact information just so that you have that before I go back and talk a little bit about the digital edition. Both Sue and I are I'm going to say chained to our computers, but we spend a lot of time on our computers. So the best way to get a hold of us is through email. You can certainly call us, but it is much easier. It is much quicker if you email us. ordernIE@tampabay.com is our generic mailbox that gets checked on a daily basis. If you are having any kind of problems with your newspaper delivery, or if you need to adjust your order, you can certainly email ordernIE@tampabay.com because it's easy to remember. Or you can simply, what most teachers do is reply to the emails that I send out because they have my email address right there. We also have a Facebook page, and I'd like to encourage you to like us because we like you to like us. We are trying to post information about when new publications come out. We also would like to post photos of your classes participating in working with the supplements or reading the newspaper. I've asked for photos in my last couple of newspapers. I've got so far the cutest I've seen are from the elementary students who are studiously reading comics, which is a great photo opportunity. And you don't necessarily have to show us the front of the student. You can always show the back if they're looking at the screen. So I'm going to give you one more minute to write this down, and then I'm going to take this off the screen.
And you already dropped our emails in the chat, right?
Yes, it's also in the chat. Yes, that is correct. So I'm going to stop here actually for a minute to see if anybody has questions before I talk about the digital edition. Does anybody have questions or comments so far? Look at all those people that said social media. The sad part is, well, you are all, I'm sure, much younger than I am. I've been doing this for decades, but I was just a little kid when I started. So, one of the things that I found out is students don't use Facebook anymore because all of us old people are on Facebook. But we do like to give information on Facebook when we can. No questions or anything?
I'll jump in also and say that another thing that we try to post on Facebook are opportunities for teachers, for example, classroom grant opportunities or professional development opportunities that we, from our partners, we will post those as well so that those get out there.
And just again, a little background information. Sue is in charge of our raising all the money for our program. She is very good at finding grants, and she has found some really great opportunities for teachers. Usually, I'm the one who posts them, but she's the one who finds the information. And we try to post those kind of, it seems like the deadlines have been at least a month in advance. So if you keep an eye on that, you can, there are a surprising amount of grants out there for teachers. Again, I talked about the education foundations with their mini grants, but there are a surprising amount of other things that are out there that you can apply for your students. We have one teacher in Hernando County who is constantly getting grants. I think she's got a whole aquarium set up in her classroom because she has done such a great job to do that. Okay, so I am going to share again, and I'm going to go back to our website. Okay. So as I mentioned, all of our information, before I talk about the digital edition, Sue just reminded me, when you go under additional resources, we also have a page for webinars and workshops. And I don't know if this has been completely updated, but we do have a webinar for the Via Pinellas County Water Protector coming up in October. We also have, not that one. We also have two live workshops coming up. One is in partnership with the Holocaust Museum in St. Petersburg. That is on October 23rd. And then I also sent out information about a workshop that we are doing in conjunction with the Stavros Center at the beginning of October. That is on sustainability. And then we also have a financial literacy webinar coming up on October 28th. There's another one that's not posted yet, but at the beginning of November, we are going to have actually it's up there, but the details aren't up there. So you'll be the first to know. We have a webinar with two of our reporters that are going to talk about research and data and how writing skills and all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be a great opportunity to hear from the people who actually write the stories for the Times. So back to our homepage. So here's the link to click to access the digital edition. And when you do that, it is going to ask you for your username. It is going to ask you for your username and password, which I will supply to you. And you're going to click login. And hopefully this will work. Yes. And here is the newspaper. So the digital edition is an exact replica of the newspaper online. We have a newspaper 7 days a week. You will have access to the newspaper 7 days a week. Again, this is as Sue mentioned, you can, there's a little cutting tool on here, which I can't, there it is, a little clipping tool that you can clip out the photo or you can clip out an article. You can switch. Oh no, I have to move. Wait a minute. I don't know if I can move I have to move the people. Okay. If you click on this, it will take you to the sections. And it will also take you to archives. So you can go back and you can look at another issue. You can look at the Saturday paper, or you can look at the Sunday paper. You can go back. I believe this one goes, it's not showing me August, but this should go back to August.
Yeah, I think you get 30 days.
Yeah. Yes, that is correct. You can also, if you click on download, you will see the entire newspaper page by page. You can select a page. You can select the entire newspaper. You can select a section, and you can save those as PDFs. So because we have a partnership with you and we are supplying the digital edition to you for your use free of charge, you can also post those on your Canvas page. So if you are, I saw a message in the chat that said something about using the weather maps. You don't necessarily have to have every student have access to the digital edition. You can just go ahead and I was trying to find something that wasn't political, and yet today's paper is just filled with politics. Let's go to the oops. Sorry about that. That's not what I mean to do. Well, okay. So I'm trying to avoid something talking about politics. So we could go to sports. That will avoid talking about politics. Let's go to sports. There we go. Okay. So if you are working with elementary school students, you might want to take a look at the newspaper before you actually give them out. When you have the print newspaper, they will come to you sometime between 4 and 6 in the morning. Those newspapers are delivered in a stack with a sheet on top that says who the teacher is and how many copies they're getting. My advice to you is to check with your school secretary or your head custodian to find out where those newspapers are going. We've had a couple of teachers say that they're not sure where the newspapers are being left. We can only deliver them to a location that is unlocked at that hour of the morning. So generally they're by the front gate, or if there's a specific place that you'd like them left, you can let me know and we can definitely do that. Let's see. Would you say analyze the weather amount? Yes, that is perfect. Unfortunately, Sue is correct. We do not have access to an app for this edition. Our edition is the same newspaper as you would see with your subscription. However, there are not all those extra ads. So the ads that you will see in the digital edition are just the ones that are in the paper. They are not extra links that students are going to click, that sort of thing. Okay, so the way the licenses work is that you will have one username and one password, and all the students will use that username and that password. When you get assigned the username, it will probably be the email address that you signed up for your order with. I can change that as long as it's in the form of an email address. So for example, in Hillsborough County Schools, our media specialists are signed up with the name of the school at tbtnie.com, and that way they don't have to use the teacher's name. We use the teacher's name because it's easier that way. Some teachers, because you know that your email addresses are on your websites, on your school websites anyway, they can't get into your email, but they can use that that login. If you would like it to be something else, you can just let me know and I'm happy to change it. The students should not be able to change anything in the setup. But if you have any problems with their access, sometimes students are sneaky and they go in and they change the password and then we have to reset the account. So hopefully that won't happen. But you are our customers, so we don't work directly with the students, if that answers that question. Any other questions? Unfortunately, if you are in one of the counties that we do not deliver print papers to, you can only get access to the digital edition. And there are a few areas in Hillsborough we do not deliver print to, and Polk and Manatee, I think. Oh, and Citrus. If you are looking for curriculum supplements, those we can deliver to you because we send them via the mail. So if you're in Polk County, you want copies of Space4All, we are happy to send them. Any other question?
Did you get all of our attendees' names?
That's what I was just going to check. So if you came in a few minutes late, if you make sure your name is showing up, we are going to do a little drawing. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 names. Does that sound about right, Sue? You're not counting you, me, and Larry.
Yeah, we're one over. We did have one person who left early, but hopefully we won't draw them. And if we do,
can tell me who it is, and I will. Oh, do we not know who the person is?
I don't know who the person is.
Okay, so you have to be here to win. Sue, you can sing or something while I'm organizing this. Tell them what they're going to win.
Yes. So we're going to almost everyone's going to win something today. We're actually going to give away 5 sets of backpacks and 5 Stomp Rocket space collections. And we will let you choose which of those prizes you would like. And actually, while we're getting ready, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can all see the very cool Stomp Rockets. So this is what we are going to give away. They behave just like regular Stomp Rockets, but they are cooler because we have 3 iconic NASA vehicles. So we have the SLS rocket, the Space Launch System rocket, the Space Shuttle Atlantis, and a Saturn V rocket. So, ooh.
Cool.
I know, right?
And then I also we didn't mention anything about World Space Week, but I wanted to mention that we are posting something on Facebook about World Space Week, and that I will be sending out a link to teachers for more information. Kids do love Stomp Rockets. So
adults do too.
Should I do the wheel on share? Or should I just
let's look at the wheel.
Okay. So let's see if I can. Okay, I think I've got everybody's name. You all see the spinning wheel?
Woohoo! There it is.
Woo-hoo. Okay, let's see if I can figure out how to spin it from. It's been a while since I've done this. I think I just do this. Oh, there you go. So our first winner
Woohoo!
is Natalie Harris.
And Natalie, what would you prefer? Do you want the stamp rockets or the backpacks? Stomp rockets. You got it.
All right. Okay, next.
I wish it made the noise. The little
You
click,
can't
click,
hear
click
it?
noise.
Oh, I didn't turn on the.
Wayne. Woo!
Woohoo! Hillsborough County Schools.
And Wayne, what would you like? Stomp rockets? Jody, can you unmute? We probably don't need to have everyone muted
yeah.
right now. Wayne, you still with us? Oh, is he in the chat? All right, let's go ahead and we'll see if Wayne joins us later. Ooh, just squeaking through. And are we looking for stomp rockets or?
And that is Elaine.
Yes, Elaine. Elaine wants stomp rockets. All right, you got it. Deanna. Deanna, I bet you're going to pick stomp rockets, aren't you?
That is Deanna.
Oh, Deanna, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hey, Jody, is Tamika on the wheel? Do we miss her?
It looks like I did miss Tamika. What is Tamika's last name?
Morris. Tamikamorris. Sorry about that, Tamika.
Sorry, Tamika. I unfortunately.
It looks like Wayne is the one who dropped out. I don't see him in the
Is it?
participants list anymore, by the way.
Okay.
Okay, so do we want to, are you not able to add after the fact?
No, I am. I have to pull up another sheet. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, wait a minute. I've lost my. Oh, never mind. I found it. Sorry. It's been a long week. I know it's only
It's only
Tuesday, but it's been a
Tuesday.
long week. Oops. Okay, hold on. Let me do it this way. Okay. So I need to add Tamika back. There we go. Okay. And did I miss anybody else? Did you notice? Okay. There we go. Okay, how many more am I spinning, Sue?
You have lots to go. Keep
Okay.
spinning.
Excellent.
Woohoo, Lydia. Lydia, you want stomp rockets or backpacks?
The Rockets.
I don't know why I did this by email address.
All right. T. Geiger? I don't know the first name there. Chloe. Chloe, you still with us? You want rockets or backpacks?
Are we good?
Rockets. Yep, we're good. Okay, folks. We are technically out of rockets. If you are one of the next 5 winners and you would prefer rockets, I'll have to go back and look at our budget and see if I can squeak them out for you. Otherwise, it is going to be backpacks. Number 6. Woohoo! Is that Lizzie? And Polk, would you prefer stomp rockets or backpacks? All right, let's move on. Catherine. Would you like backpacks, or if I can do it, stomp rockets? What's your preference, Catherine?
He goes by Joy.
Okay.
Yeah, I just put it in the post. So yeah, the stomp rockets if available, but if not, then the backpacks are fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I win either
course.
way. Thank you.
All right, this is number 7. Yay!
Yay. Okay. My name was up there 3 times as one of the winners. If you have the stomp rockets, that would be great. If not, the backpacks work too.
Okay, we'll try. I just
Okay.
have to make sure we have enough money because we have the backpacks in-house, but the stomp rockets we have to purchase. So I just have to make sure we have enough grant money left over.
If
And
not,
just for the record, the backpacks are cool.
I'll take the backpacks. That's fine.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, number 8. Why did you do this by email address? Now I have to keep looking back to see people's actual names.
That's Danielle. So
Danielle. Okay.
keep going.
Mhm. Number 9. J.W. Kelly. That would be Joe. Joe, you still with us? What would you like? Oh, wait. Backpacks. All right, thank you. All right, this should be number 10, I think, right? Let me double check. How many winners do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, number 10, last chance. Oh. I love how it does a little confetti. So is that Gilda? Gilda, what would you like?
You still there?
Gilda, you still with us? All right, going, gone.
Oh no, she's still with us. Well, her name is still with us.
All right, well, we'll leave the question up there and let's see if she gets back to us with what she would prefer. And otherwise, we'll move on and we'll pick one of someone else.
Okay. See, Tamika, we got you anyway.
Yay.
Yay.
Tamika, what is your preference?
Backpacks, please.
All right.
Oh, Sue, do we have any extra backpacks? We only have 2 people left.
Yeah, we should be able to do. So who's still here? Chime in if you're still here and you didn't win. We're gonna do like an Oprah thing. All right, that would be, is that Maddie? You still with us, Maddie?
Yeah, that's me.
What would you like?
Backpacks would be great if possible.
All right.
Thank you so much.
And who's our last person?
Look at that. It didn't work. It didn't work.
That's me, Tina.
There we go.
Backpack is fine. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, folks. Thank you so much.
That's complicated.
It was complicated, wasn't it? I want to reiterate that if you would like some postcards, just drop me an email and let me know how many you would like. To save a little bit on postage, it would be helpful if we just, package everything together. And if you would like copies of the publication, you'll probably get some anyway, because I'm probably going to throw them in the package for you anyway. But if you would like an official class set, just again, drop us an email and let us know how many you need. We have a lot. So don't feel that you need to economize. If you think that there's another teacher who would also like them at your school, feel free to pass along the information and tell them to email us, and we will gladly get them out the door.
And just to confirm, I believe we will be, what is today, Tuesday?
It is.
I believe we will be sending you certificates of completion by the end of the week.
Yes.
That way you can have those. And I have everybody's name the way they signed up. So hopefully that is correct.
We'll double check it against the chat.
Yeah. But Joy, I got your note about your name.
Larry, any final parting words?
No, I don't have any except thank you so much for participating. And a couple of folks, sorry, trying to get the lighting right here. We moved into another room. It doesn't
It's
seem
so bright
suitable for Zoom. I know, right? Like, stop. It was dark a minute ago and now it's light.
Are you on the surface of the sun, Larry?
I feel like I am almost. It's actually not that bright in here. I think it's just the way that the light overhead is hitting me. But there we go. See, it was. That's all it was. No, but thank you everybody for participating. A couple of people have already emailed. Sue and Jody, it's one of the folks that participated. We're looking for postcards.
Yep.
Feel free to reach out to me as well. And as I shared with that individual, if any of you are interested in field trips over to NASA, I'm over here. And I have an entire learning lab and classroom where we can do additional programming, alongside of a field trip to the Space Center. So drop a line. My USF address is good. And I hope to hear from many of you in the future. And thank you for hosting tonight.
I
Jody.
just want to say that Larry gave us kudos, but we need to give Larry kudos because we couldn't have done any of these events and activities and stuff without his help. He has been phenomenal and he is a phenomenal source. So definitely reach out to him.
Am I a primary source?
You are a primary source. Wouldn't you be a primary source? Because you're a person.
Perfect. Well, thanks for everything. And I will catch up with the two of you later. And for the educators, again, I hope to cross paths with you someplace, whether it's back in Tampa Bay or over here on the Space Coast.
Have
Good
a
night,
great
everyone.
evening, everyone.
Have a great evening.